Go through this.
Recording in progress. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of the Audacity Academy. I am your host, Sarah Falciani. Welcome to my first ever interview with a guest on my podcast. I'm so excited about this. Today, I actually have one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Nat Jean, with us. She is an anthropology student, a writer, an artist, a single mom. She also does divination and spiritual guidance for people, and she is just an overall badass. I'm so excited to chat with her today about how boundaries and people pleasing have impacted her life, specifically in the areas of parenting and relationships. But I'm not going to steal all of her thunder. I'm going to let her go ahead and tell us even more about herself if she wishes. So, handing the mic over.
I just started school for anthropology. I had moved to a place that had a lot of ruins and stuff, and so that's basically what pushed me to do that. And people are weird whenever someone's like, "Why anthropology?" I'm like, people are fucking weird. Like, we need to learn about them. So I also have Tomb Raider, Lara Croft fantasies that I need to, engage. I'm gonna be Tomb Raider.
Yes, I still have hope. If not in this life, in a future life, I will be Tomb Raider. I know it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I do that. I do divination. I do tarot readings. I read runes. I don't do palm reading or crystal ball stuff. Not that advanced, but so yeah, I've been doing tarot since I was a little kid. So I do that, dream interpretations, overall spiritual guidance. I do charge for tarot readings, other stuff, sometimes I'm just nice and like to offer the guidance there. Mm-hmm. So
would you consider yourself an empath?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah.
How has, I'm just going to dive right in. How have you noticed boundaries impacting the work as an empath in this spiritual guidance area? Like, I know we've had conversations about it in the past, but why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit, some experiences you've had?
It's so awful. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like, that is an excellent start. Yeah. It is awful. It really is, because as like an empath, and like there's a difference between being an empath and being empathetic, and I think that people don't necessarily realize that you can be an empathetic person, and that means like, oh, I feel for you, I understand, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Being an empath is, I am taking your pain as my own. Mm-hmm. I am feeling it even if I don't want to understand it. I don't want to empathize with you, but I'm feeling it. Like, it's that moment of like, if I see people crying, especially people I have a connection with, or I have tried to connect with, or whatever, or I really deeply care about, I want to cry with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel it. And it's one of those things where you have to you always set a boundary with yourself, because you have to be like, no, it's not your time, their time, hold space for them. So, it's rough. And then, and then there's the times where like, you want to be there because you want to make them feel better. And in the same sense, because it'll make you feel better because you're hurting, because they're hurting. Mm-hmm. So you will literally, like, being an empath, like, well, for me anyway, makes me feel like I will literally do anything right now to make you not hurt. Mm-hmm. That anything. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the day, you go home and you feel sick and you have a migraine and you want to throw up and you don't feel right and you feel gross and you want to cry and you don't know why. And then like, you don't even realize it was because you were fucking healing people all day. And this happens to me in public. Strangers in public randomly see me in a grocery store and I chat with them, because you know me, I talk to fucking anybody. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, blah, 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 my mom just died. And then they look at me like, why did I just say that to you? And I'm just like, yeah.
That happens sometimes.
I didn't mean it because I really like I notice I pull that out of people too. And I think I've told you before, I love being that person. You know what I mean? I do. I love being the village witch. I love having people come to me for guidance. I love having people come to me with I don't know what to do. And people who come to me without even actually saying it, but that come to me and are saying, heal me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Heal me, take this pain away, make me feel better. I love being that person.
Mm-hmm.
It literally kills me sometimes.
Well, it's a blessing and a curse. You have such a gift, but if you don't set boundaries with it, if you don't monitor it, if you aren't aware of your own limits, your own capacity on a day-to-day basis, because it does change, you could be absolutely burned down to nothing just because people are constantly taking from you.
Yeah. And I don't even, and it's not even malicious. They crave it. You know what I mean? Like they crave it from me and I get that. Like, you know what I mean? And I understand it. And I love that I can do that for you. But I've had lots of people who are my family or people that I, are my chosen family that I love more than family, like have come to me and they'll come to me too often. And I'll have to be like, and like, again, like one of my big things is you don't have to be a dick to set a boundary. Like, you know what I mean? And so I'll have to just kind of be like, oh, that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I am busy at the moment. Or, oh, look, over here, a hat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I know like that seems kind of rude, but it's not. Like, you know what I mean? It's not rude to say like, I have to protect my energy right now, bro. Because like, I am spread thin. And as you know, I will just keep spreading myself thinner and thinner and thinner, especially for the people I love and the people who mean it. Like my world can be falling apart. And if someone I love calls me and they're like, I need you, I'm like, oh, okay. Like mask, I'm great. And I am here for you. And that is a very toxic trait of mine that I really need to stop.
Well, it's a conditioned pattern. That's all people pleasing is, and compulsive giving. It's just a compulsion and it's a pattern and it gets to be interrupted. It gets to be healed. And that's just, again, continuous work, continuing to build awareness and set those boundaries around it. It sounds like you're on the right track though.
Yeah. Well, and I think like a big part of me too is like, I mean, like you've seen that picture of that art was done of me as like the Viking warrior goddess lady thing. And that's how I see myself. Like, I see myself as the guidance, the protector, you know what I mean? Like that ultimate feminine energy, divine feminine energy. Like that's who I see myself as. And I think because I see myself as that, which is fantastic. I'm glad I see myself as that. It would suck to see myself as anything lower. But because of that, I do feel responsible for anything and anyone, any living creature that comes in my vicinity. I feel I have to protect and I have to nourish and I have, and again, it's great. It's fantastic. And I love being that person. But there's times that I literally have to be like, nay. Not today, not now, not you, not anymore. Like, you know what I mean?
So what was your breaking point, do you think? At what point was the turning point when you realized you were giving too much and something needed to change?
Oh, I would say probably in my most recent relationship that you saw utterly destroyed me. And I was giving so much of myself to him, I might get emotional, that I wasn't giving enough to my son. Mm-hmm. Because my ex had me so convinced that he needed me to survive. Because like, as you know, one of the biggest things with a narcissist after you're with them is you leave and you're like, oh my God, how are they going to survive without me? Not in the malicious, how are they going to fucking survive without me? Like, no, like you literally are concerned that they are not going to be able to live without you. Well, they lived to, 30 something years old without you just fucking fine because they were able to do that and entrap you. So they're doing okay. But I was so fucking drained mothering him and healing him and being there for him that I would snap at my son. I didn't have patience for him and what he needed. And, you know, I think ultimately every person needs to put themselves first, even if you have children. And I know people are going to like, what? No, hear me out. You do have to put yourself first, because if you are falling apart and if you are not taking care of you, you're not being a good parent. Mm-hmm. You can't be, because you can't. Yeah, you can't. You can't. You have to give yours 100% to yourself every fucking day, or else you are not going to be able to give anything to anybody else properly. And your children need you to be at 100%, and your children need to watch you put yourself first, so they put themselves first. Mm-hmm. All right, like it's a cycle, just like the just like the cycle of abuse. There, you know, there's the cycle of that, of being healthy. And I think that was it. Being I was already on my way, but that last relationship, when I literally gave up everything. I had just left an already toxic relationship. I was rebuilding my life. I was gaining back independence. I was building. I mean, you were there for it. We started talking. Yeah, you know, and like you were there for it. I was building. I was so proud of myself. I was great. And then this fucking cockroach comes in and I gave it all up for love. He convinced me this was the epic once in a lifetime love. I've loved you for 21 years. So, you know, and I gave up everything for him and for that, to go to a place where I knew nothing and nobody, give up my whole life, drag my son into it. And to mother him and eventually get to a point where I didn't want to live. You know what I mean? Not that I was ever suicidal, and that, you know, like there's a difference, you know, so I don't ever want to say that like I understand people who've been that, you know, but like I didn't want to be alive. I absolutely didn't. And I lost who I was and everything I was. And I wasn't able to be 100% for my son. And that was when I knew it. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is fucked. You know, this is fucked. This is not normal. This is not okay. And I think that was my major turning point. Who, you know, so like I can be mad at my ex, you know what I mean? And he did destroy me. He's an awful person. But I'm really glad that I went through that, because I think that was kind of like what you know, got me to my final form. You know what I mean? And so now I can actually just continue to be better and better and better and weirder and weirder and weirder, but better. And so yeah, no, yeah, that was it. Yeah, when I realized that like shit, you're fucking sucking. Like you're yelling at your kid all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's, if I'm so depleted that my kid can't ask me a question without me being like, I can't right now, there's a fucking problem. Mm-hmm. You know, and that was it. I mean, and granted, that's not just with boundaries. That was like a very toxic, abusive situation as well. But yeah, no, that's it. And, you know, and everyone will do that to you. And again, not everybody's being abusive or manipulative or whatever, or, you know, whatnot, but it's just, they will come to you if you're that person, or if you are the person that, if you have your shit together in general. As a person, people will constantly come to you, whether it's for money, whether it's for advice, whether it's for favors, whatever it is. If you know, it's just like that thing that they say, like the shitty part about doing your job is that they expect you to do everybody else's too, you know.
Leadership too. People look up to you, they respect you, and they want what you have. It's just people are naturally drawn to the lighthouse of the group. That's just the way that it goes. Mm-hmm. So it's not always, I've interacted with people where it's like, if they gave too much, they chose to give too much and not take responsibility for their boundaries. every single time they would call every single person they gave too much to abusive or narcissistic. They would throw these words around and make it into this huge big thing, like the whole world is abusive, the whole world is taking from me. No, you really just need to take responsibility for the fact that you are giving too much. So yes, there is a distinction for my listeners. There is yes, there are narcissists. Yes, there are abusers, but regardless of who you are interacting with, it is your responsibility to manage your energy, your boundaries, and have awareness around your own capacity to give, because we have no control over what other people are doing, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and it's like, it's in human nature. If someone just keeps giving to you, why are you going to deny it? Mm-hmm. So like, it doesn't even mean that person is a taker. It doesn't mean that person is bad in any sense.
It means just doing natural capacity. And it's not, unless you are interacting with someone who is like educated in psychology, hyper aware and generous with their own boundaries, who will maybe gently remind you, hey, you don't need to give so much. That is like the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the time you will interact with someone who will say, hey, you need to set a boundary here for yourself. Most people will just follow human nature and they'll just take what you're giving because, hey, it's not my responsibility to manage your boundaries. It's your responsibility to manage your boundaries.
Which is absolutely true and acceptable and does not make them an asshole, even though it sucks.
No, and you might want to call them an asshole. You might say, man, that ex-boyfriend, not your ex-boyfriend, just an ex-boyfriend. Man, he was a dick. Was he really though? Or were you just giving and giving and giving because you thought he was a great guy and he was just being a dude?
He was just accepting it. Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to manage that, because again, like it's not like they're going to show you red flags if they're not actually being shitty. You know what I mean? Like it's not a red flag to take what's given to you. You know what I mean? And I think like even that goes into boundaries of like not being able to say no too much, So it's rare that you will meet someone that says you don't have to do this. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's rare that you meet people who know like, hey, you're doing and giving a lot, and I'm not giving it back. And that, not that that's bad. Like I'm not gonna give it back.
No, not bad at all.
Like, cause I've had to be like, hey, you're, say with like, it's almost like when people like want to get me Christmas presents and I'm like, please don't, because I'm not getting you anything. You know what I mean? So, and that's why I will tell people, please don't do that. And that's why I'm telling you to please don't do that, because I'm not going to return it. I don't have capacity to return it. Mm-hmm. I will make capacity for certain people, obviously, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, you're not an asshole for taking, you know what I mean? Like, and just because someone is taking doesn't mean that they're an asshole. So,
yep. So when you hit that rock bottom with that last relationship and you left, which we know that you did, for my listeners, she did leave the abusive relationship. She has been out of that relationship for quite some time now.
Almost a year.
Oh, yes. Celebration. Absolutely going to celebrate that.
Yeah.
So proud of you. So in that year since, what was your first step? Okay, I'm at rock bottom. I'm realizing I'm struggling, maybe even failing as a mother because I'm not able to give to my kid in a healthy way. I'm not setting a good example for my child. I have to take care of myself and heal post breakup, but also work on my relationship with my son. What would you say was your first step with that? Like, how did you manage both?
Like once I got here and got out of there, and this might not sound great. So, as you know, my coping emotion is anger. That's who I am. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't, again, we should not, and I want to say this for people listening, don't tie negative or positive connotation to emotion. Emotion is just emotion. Exactly. Right? It's just emotion. You're allowed to feel it, whatever it is. It's not negative. It's not positive. It's, it's emotion is emotion and it's fine. Mm-hmm. So, mine is anger. That's my reactionary emotion. That's, cause like I get interrupted, you know what I mean? And that's like an ADHD thing too. Like if I am doing something and I'm focusing, if I'm like actually able to focus, and I'm doing it. And you come in and you're just like, hey, I made you a sandwich. I'm like, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? And you know, like that's literally what it is. But that's like, everything's an interruption. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's my coping emotion. That's my resting emotion is anger. But it's my driving force.
And just to side note here, you don't, in order to be a healthy, well-balanced, functional, fulfilled human being, you don't have to be happy all the time. Like, let this just be a fucking lesson to you that if your resting state is anger, it's fine. It's an emotion.
All the time.
Make the most of it. Make the most of that shit. Just you don't have to change it. Stop fighting it.
Oh,
You
it's
and I have been friends for a long time. Our friendship functions just fine. And neither of us have an expectation of the other person to be fucking happy all the time. So sorry, sidebar, but I thought that was I had to maximize on that.
I don't think I could stand you if you were happy all the time.
I know I couldn't stand you.
Especially because I'm fucking angry all the time. like, fuck you and your happiness. No. No, I love when people are happy. And I am a happy person. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, like fucking everything pisses me off. But no, I think that with my ex, what really helped me was I had to get over the hope that he would come back for me. Well, I mean, I left, but that
he would fight for you and come and get you.
Yeah. Well, and like we said, he had tricked me at the end there, right? You know, like, oh, we're going to take a break and then I'll be down there. So I would leave literally everything I owned. But anyways, so I had to get over that. I had to get over hoping that he would show up at my doorstep, which like now I look back, like, why the fuck did you want that? He was so awful. But anyway, you know what I mean? But like you do because you're fucked up. You know, you're fucked up. They have you so fucked up. And you think that that's what you want and that's what you need, even though you know how awful they are. So anyways, so I had to get over that. And then I had to get over being hurt and sad. And like you were there was some nights I just cried. I just cried and cried. And then I got angry. I was mad. I was mad because how fucking dare you? How dare you do this to me, warrior goddess? How dare you? You know what I mean? And that's the thing, like, and I think people don't understand. You need to be angry. You need to be angry because how fucking dare people? How fucking dare people?
The audacity.
The audacity! You know, like, what the fuck? How dare you? How dare you treat me like that? How dare you make me think so low of myself? How dare you convince me I'm not good enough and that I deserve your shit-ass fucking treatment? You are a fucking cockroach. I am a goddess. No, thank you. I am rejecting this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how fucking dare you? And I think that's when I finally realized I was like, peasant, puny, the fuck, you know what I mean? And then I was almost embarrassed because now I'm looking. That really bad.
Look at that in the mirror. Look at that. Like what?
Yeah, it's just like.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you? Drain me.
You know you've arrived when your ex is no longer your type anymore. When you're that far above it. I
like that. Yeah. I don't think he was ever my type.
But that's how good they are with the manipulation is they can convince, they're so charismatic and charming. They can convince you that they are your dream man.
Yeah.
Dream
And
woman.
yeah.
Dream non-gender.
He, she, they, them. He, she, they, them. Yeah.
Human.
And
anyway.
yeah, no, yeah. And that's what it was. I mean, because I mean, they can read you, they can read you. And I mean, like, I'm a fucking asshole on the surface, don't get me wrong. And I met this guy keeps calling me sweet, and I'm like, I'm a fucking asshole. I'm sweet to you, but I'm a fucking asshole, But no, at heart, like, I'm a fucking, like, I'm romantic, like, hopeless fucking romantic. I'm like, love, I love love. And my ex was able to read that, and that's why he knew exactly what to say, exactly what stops to pull out, exactly. So yeah, that's why. But yeah, no. So yeah, I had to get angry. I had to get fucking angry. Once I was angry and I realized you're not shit and I'm fucking everything. And I deserve better. You know what I mean? I didn't deserve anything you did, and how fucking dare you, and how fucking dare you hurt my kid. Like,
so did you feel like, because we were talking earlier, and it's 100% accurate, like giving to yourself 100% every single day. Did you have a moment where you were like, okay, I'm looking at my relationship with my son, and I'm looking at myself coming out of this relationship. As much as I want to dive into working on my relationship with my kid, I have to take care of myself first. Did you have that moment where you had to be really, really honest about that?
Yeah. Well, and as you know, I'm always completely honest with my kid. I have always talked to him like he's a small adult. He's because that's what kids are. They're not fucking stupid. Quit treating them like they're fucking stupid.
Just to pause, tell my audience a little bit about him, his age, his position where.
My son is 11. He will be 12 in a few months. He is on the spectrum, so he has autism spectrum disorder. He has ADHD, ADD combination type 2, which all I can guess is that means all of it, and sensory processing disorder. He's brilliant. He's hyper vigilant. He is hypersensitive. He's definitely an empath too. He's wonderful. But I have always, like, we never even did baby talk of like baba. No, that's a bottle. And when you can say bottle, you can get there. Like, you know what I mean? I've never quit treating kids like they're fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that. I hate it so much. Kids are smart and they're little humans. That's all. They're not. I mean, I think they should be, they should remain innocent as long as possible and be protected at all costs. But quit talking to them like they don't know. You know what I mean? Like, they know. And and you're confusing them even more if like you're in turmoil and you're like, I'm okay. Like, so now they're confused on top of, now you're teaching them that like, if you're not okay, you have to be okay. No, so Drake, and I swear to God, he's stronger than me. He really is. He did so well. And as you know, like when we got here, it wasn't a great situation either. We were in a home where my grandfather was verbally abusive, especially to him. And there was stuff I didn't even know that he told me afterward. And he said, and I asked him, why didn't you tell me when we were there? And he said, because that would be more for you to deal with.
Oh.
My 11-year-old son said that to me. Now I'm emotional.
So he knew.
He knew.
He knew what was going on when you were.
No.
He knew what was going on while you were going through all of this healing.
Yeah. No, he knew. And like I said, I've always been honest with him. Always. There's no reason to lie to children. And my son is emotionally intelligent and he is in tune. And he knew. And if I tell him I need space, I'm having a hard time, I had a hard day, I need space, he says, okay. And he goes to his room and he's quiet. You know what I mean? And that's important. That's important for us to teach our children.
Uh-oh.
Moral from them.
We froze a little bit. Back up a second. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
You said it was important for them to teach them.
Yeah, it's important to tell them when you're not okay. You know what I mean?
And that is an example of a boundary. They're teaching them how to communicate boundaries when they need space, when they need to talk, when they're not okay. And you're also teaching them how to respect boundaries, because as you and I know, we've talked about this, being able to set boundaries and respecting boundaries, two totally different things. You can be good at setting boundaries and terrible at respecting them, and vice versa, So I agree. It's amazing that you're being so conscious with communicating this to him and teaching him this at such a young age.
Oh yeah. And he waited till we were out of my grandfather's house to finally say just the extent of things that my grandfather would say to him or go and bother him and stuff like that. And he, you know, which isn't his responsibility. And I feel awful that he did that. But, you know, it's as far as like me being able to heal from my relationship so I could be 100% again, you know, it's easy because I always taught my kid emotional intelligence. I've always taught him that. I've always been honest with him. I have always said, I'm not okay when I'm not okay. I have always, I've always, I mean, obviously not like big details, but like, you know what I mean? I have always told him when I need space. I have always apologized to him when I have fucked up. And that's a big thing. Like parents don't apologize to their children. And then you wonder why your kid sucks. Like, sorry, but like, you know what I mean? Like if I fuck up or if I yell or I go too hard, I always apologize. I always go back afterward and I tell him, I am sorry. I yelled. I need you to do this or that or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I always tell him, I'm sorry I reacted badly. I'm sorry I overreacted. You know, I'm having a hard time. I shouldn't have done that. You know, it's on me. It's not on you. And he, you know, he always says, you know, thank you. It's okay. Which I try to tell him to not say it's okay because it's not okay. You know, and that's one thing. Like if he apologizes to me, you know, because I think that's a big thing that we need to teach children too. Like, it's not okay. It's not okay that you hurt me. It's not okay that you fucked up. I mean, it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay that you hurt me. But I will forgive you for it because an apology means I'm not going to fucking do it again. It doesn't mean that it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
what are you teaching him in place of it's okay?
Thank you for apologizing.
Perfect.
Thank you for apologizing. Thank you for acknowledging that, or I appreciate you acknowledging that, or you know what I mean?
So how are you teaching him how to set boundaries with you or with other people, with him being on the spectrum, so emotional, so young, so in tune with everything around him? How is he developing his boundaries? It's
so hard because he just can't even fathom that kids are cruel. he can't even fathom that like someone's fucking with him. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't fathom that like these kids are just trying to get you to do something shitty. It's not that they want to be your friend or like you're like, that doesn't occur to him that people are like that. So like when really like for an example, he had this kid that was like calling him honey and all this other, like, it was weird. Anyways. And so he was like, yeah, he keeps doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, did you tell him to stop? And he's like, yeah, I tell him to stop all the time. And I said, are you telling him to stop and then continuing to hang out with him and play with him? And he's like, well, yeah. And you can't do that. You know, you need to tell him I don't like this. And if he still does it, you don't talk to him. Don't go near him. Don't go around him, anything. You know what I mean? And again, like, I mean, that's something that, and most neurotypical children, you can tell them this and they'd be like, oh, okay. But with him, like, it's, you know, especially because he wants friends so bad. He's finally gotten to a point where he actually like has started to like other children.
Yay. Ready for high school.
Yeah. And, so like when, you know, when I'm like, you can't continue to talk to them, like they're not your friend. Because he thinks anyone who talks to him and hangs out with him is his friend. You know, because he doesn't really understand relationships very well. So, you know, and I'm like, people who are your friends don't do that. People who are your friends listen when you put a boundary in place. Like they listen when you say, I don't like that. That's a boundary. And so you need to set your boundaries, and then to enforce them, you need to not fucking talk to that kid anymore. And so, it's really hard because we're actually dealing with that right now, currently. And so hopefully it catches on. He's pretty good at being like, no, not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like, don't want that. And then he doesn't really understand. And it's hard for me too, because at school, like, teachers will want him to do something or not do something, and he's like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, I'm over here like, well, if he doesn't want to do it, he shouldn't have to do it. He's setting a boundary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he shouldn't have to fucking conform to...
You've been hanging out with me way too long.
Like, it's so bad, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is health and being oppressed, like, fuck. So it's really it's hard for both of us. Because, like, literally, I'm like, well, he shouldn't have to. Like, why does he have to do it that way? Like, you know what I mean? And I mean, like, obviously, I get it. But yeah,
you get it and not like it. It's fine. You can be angry about it.
Yeah, see? Told you. But
it works. It fits in almost every situation.
Fucking get angry about
it.
Well, and that's kind of like what I've had to start doing with him, is be like, it's stupid. Because he'll be like, but why? And this and that. And he has, like, every reason in the world to, you know what I mean? Like, and they're valid reasons. It's a valid argument.
Yeah, you can't argue with him.
Yeah. No, it's a valid argument.
I mean, I don't want to, or just no, period.
Complete sentence.
Those are complete sentences, and they are completely valid reasons. And I do think it's important to be teaching children that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, so I've kind of, like, especially when it comes to school, I've had to just kind of be like, it's dumb, but you just have to do it that way. And he'll accept that. He'll accept that. Same with like asshole teachers. I'll have to be like, they suck. Just kind of do what they say, and then they'll, you won't have to deal with them. Just do what they say, don't argue.
Because there are still rules. There are still society rules, there are organizational rules. Rules are in place for a reason. Consequences are in place for a reason. The law is in place for a reason. So, of course, when you're raising children, it's important to nurture individuality. And yes, no is a complete sentence. And because I don't want to is completely valid. But sometimes you do just have to do this. Because
no, and I have never once taught him not to argue with teachers, and I'm sure there's teachers that are going to listen to this and be like, you fucking bitch. But I've never, like, no, and here's why.
Audacity Academy. My podcast is called the Audacity Academy for a reason.
Yeah, no, perfect example. He's like in 3rd grade or something. I forget what grade. I think it was 3rd. And they go to the zoo. My kid knows more about animals than all of us, all right? That's his thing. That and dinosaurs. He knows the shit, all right? So, and this is what was sad is this wasn't even like an obscure fact. Anyways, so she they're on their field trip. They're at the zoo, and this teacher's like talking about the peacocks, and she said the ones with the big fan feathers, the male peacock. She said, oh, blah, 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 female peacock. And Dragon was like, no, that's a boy. A boy peacock. That's a male. And she's like, no, that one's a female. Look how pretty it is, blah, blah, blah. And Dragon's like, they're pretty because they need to find a mate. That's a boy peacock. That's the male. And this teacher's arguing with him. My son got in so much trouble for arguing with the teacher. So she sends this note home, blah, 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 blah. I reply with nothing other than, that is the male peacock. And then she comes back with, but he shouldn't have argued with me. And I said, but you were wrong. You were wrong. First of all, he wasn't arguing with you. He was correcting you. Because it's not nice to let the people around you look like idiots. correct them. If they are wrong, correct them.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't receptive to your correction. You have a computer in your pocket, and instead of looking it up to see if the kid, God forbid, was correct, you just went like all stupid authoritarian, was like, don't argue with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the teacher. Like, you know what I mean? No. So anyways, I was like, but you were wrong. And then again, but he shouldn't have argued with me. And I was like, he absolutely should have. He should never accept false information just because someone higher up said so.
Mm-hmm.
You were wrong. He was correct. My son's not getting punished.
We could continue talking all day long, and I know that we could just going down the rabbit hole of boundaries and people pleasing and parenting and relationships. I didn't even ask you about your relationship current situation and how dating has been a year later, learning boundaries, learning how to recognize red flags and all that. So we might have to shelve that and come back for another episode.
Absolutely.
And touch on that next time. So let the humans know where they can find you on the socials and if you have a website.
I am on Instagram. I am Nat is Bats. And that's where everything I do, everything, my cooking, because I cook a lot. My cooking, just like little random motivational stuff, my art, everything's on Instagram. Everything comes together on Instagram. But I have a blog, which is just Nat Jean blog. On Facebook, I have an art page that is just Nat Jean Art. I have a art Facebook that you can add me as a friend on that is just Nat Jean, and I'm in like a orange hoodie thing. Mm-hmm. And then my divination one is Witchery with Nat Jean. And I think I gave you the links on here, so like they'll probably be somewhere. So
I'm gonna drop them all below with the description, so everybody will be able to go down there and find.
Sweet. Yeah. So just you can find me on there. Don't try to add Natalie Jean because that's my personal Facebook, and I won't add you.
And that's a boundary.
I don't know you. That's my purse.
So to wrap up, give the humans if you could say one thing to the people, one piece of advice on any of the topics that we've covered today. Could be personal development, could be mindset, could be around the subject of boundaries, people pleasing, parenting. One piece of advice for the humans today.
Pay attention to people's reactions when you tell them no. If they are upset by you saying no, and they no longer talk to you, they're not a person you need in your life. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be liked. That's not why we're here. We're not here to be liked. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be liked. Take care of you. Put you first. That's what's important. Always put yourself first. Mm-hmm. And then your kids and everything else. But
people's reaction to your boundaries is a reflection of their character, not a reflection of you.
Yeah. Definitely one of those, like, should we unpack that? I think you should unpack that.
Here's the number to a good therapist. And to Sarah. Here's Sarah's number.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, I'm like, you should follow my friend.
I appreciate
Here's her info.
Let's make the world a better place, one fucking boundary at a time.
Yeah. No.
That's all there is. That's all Absolutely. There is to it. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope all of the humans got so much out of it. It was such a fun conversation. I had so much fun talking to you. And to everybody listening, go follow Nat on all of the places, all of the everywhere. The links will be below. And stay tuned for the next episode. I will see you all again soon.